And Jeff Potter is joining us. Jeff is based out of Colorado. Jeff is the former CEO of Frontier Airlines, which I believe, Jeff, you were at Frontier when it went through the whole 9/11 crisis, right?
Ken, how are you? Yeah, I was. I was at Frontier during 9/11, and you know, as we worked, the industry worked through that, and then we'll try to share some thoughts of what transpired there and what's occurring here, what's different, and I think there are some lessons learned there that can be applied to today.
So let's just make sure everyone knows, Jeff, you've done a lot in the airline space, the hospitality space. You were also, you ran Surf Air, which I loved Surf Air when you were there.
Right, right.
Incredible company. You worked for Steve Case.
That's right.
And your new company, which you'll be launching after the crisis, is all around finding, how would you put it? You're actually customizing adventure. Excursion.
Yeah, I mean, when I was at Exclusive Resorts during that time working for Steve, we went through, that was the financial crisis. But one of the things that really popped up during that time was the changing environment of what people wanted. They wanted experiential travel. They wanted optionality. So they wanted these 3-4 day getaways. So what we've been focusing on is these 3-4 day getaways near where you live. And sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And I don't, make light of our current situation, but the fact is we've been focused on domestic. We've been focused on close-in travel and allowing people to get away. And we've married up with private aviation in a way that has never been done, which is making it affordable to a lot more people than the top 0.5%.
So let's pretend you probably wouldn't want to be in this position, but you're running a major airline right now.
Yep.
How do you react? What do you do?
I have something if you'd like me to walk it through.
I love it. Let's see it.
All right, I'm going to share screen.
Jeff Potter, class act, is joining us from Colorado.
Can everybody see that?
We see your screen, Jeff.
All right, great. So when you and I talked, Ken, I thought we would talk about the industry through crisis, the situation, the response, and the rebound. So, I was going to cover the immediate response to what the industry is seeing right now. And is this all new, or can we actually draw some conclusions from not only 9/11, but the financial crisis, and then certainly what is the new reality? The way I looked at this is kind of the path we followed during 9/11. We went through this immediate phase of fear. During that time, we had a very quick understanding of the situation. Then we took the appropriate actions, and then we, as an industry and as an airline at Frontier, we fought through and we developed the recovery mindset. What's happened here is, as I see it with the industry and basically the world, is we're in the midst of fear. But certainly in the airline industry, what's happened now is you actually see a lot of action that I'll take you through. There's still a lot of understanding that needs to take place, and mostly, how does this rebound? Is it domestic leisure, domestic business? What happens to international? And so there's a longer pull to the recovery, or at least the roadmap to recovery. I think William showed something last week on American, but just as everybody might suspect, when travel stops, you can see what's happened. The share price at January 15th for all the carriers at the lowest point, United was down 80%, Spirit was down 84%. They've rebounded a little bit, and with the exception of American, they've rebounded north of their low point. So obviously, investor confidence follows clarity in the situation, and there really is little clarity yet. to give everybody an update on what's happened. It's moving quickly, but some things that really resonate with me is American Airlines. They're permanently grounding 757s, A330s, 767. Delta has grounded over 600 aircraft. When you look at the regional market, one of the outcomes of this is going to be some casualties on the regional business side. Both Compass and Transstates have once has ceased operations. The other's going to cease next week. Probably most critical is all three majors. When you look at Delta, you look at United, and you look at American, they said, and they've actually communicated to their employees, folks, we're going to get through the next 6 months with the government's help. But at the coming out of that period, and we're looking at the September, October, November timeframe, all bets are off, but all have basically said that they're going to be smaller. In the private aviation sector, it's a lot tougher. It's more reminiscent of the financial crisis. You know, there's over 500 carriers out there which are called 135, and those are the operators that can fly interstate, have higher safety and regulatory compliance. But a lot of them are mom and pops, and there are going to be a lot of casualties in that space. I think.
Happen with them? Are they going to get acquired then? What do you think is going to happen with all those?
What's that?
With those mom and pops, are they going to be acquired?
I think they're going to be acquired, Ken. There's going to be some excess capacity out there, and again, not to make light of what we're going through, but you mentioned it. You know, in my mindset, we have what we have, and what I'm doing with our business going forward is going after the get. So there will be a lot of opportunity for this new way of thinking. And I do think a lot, but this was happening before. Delta Private Jets and Wheels Up. Wheels Up is very prominent, very well known. Fact of the matter is, I don't think Wheels Up has ever made a dime. And Delta Private Jets, I know, had never made a dime. So the merger and the consolidation that we saw post 9/11 and post financial crisis in commercial aviation was already happening in private aviation. So there was that distress that we were already seeing. In terms of capacity reductions, going back to my earlier comment, there's been an immediate reaction. You can see domestically for the top 2, 4, 6, 8 carriers, there's been a 38% drop. Domestically, international is almost 90%. My focus here has been predominantly on the U.S. domestic carriers. But
God, when you look at Frontier, your old baby, how do you feel when you see those type of numbers?
Well, these are actions that need to be taken. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is the outcome. And what I mean by that, there's been a lot of commentary that there'll be no bankruptcies. And unfortunately, I don't believe that, because what's going to happen out of this is a reset. What happened after 9/11, what happened post financial crisis, 2008 to 2011, was this reset. And in this business, like anything else, it's all capacity driven. And so you can have reduced capacity, but all of a sudden the mindset becomes a market share mindset. Market share is important to a certain extent, but it doesn't pay the bills.
Right.
So it becomes this war of attrition. So you look at United, you look at Delta, especially Southwest. Well, who's going to stop traveling? Well, guess what? It's the people that lost their 401k, it will build up, but the ones that have lost their job. And who do they fly? They fly Spirit, they fly Frontier. Frontier has gone from, during my tenure, of really going after that small and medium-sized business. We were very successful at doing that. Now they've gone to this ultra low-cost carrier mentality, and that coming out of this really depends. They've lost all control. So it really depends. If you hear Americans say we're going to come out smaller, United, Delta, etc., I guarantee you, Ted Christie, who runs Spirit, used to work for me during the 9/11 timeframe. Barry Biffle at Frontier. They are hoping to continue to read about the majors reducing capacity, because if too much capacity goes, it remains. There all of a sudden there's this fight for that incremental travel.
Jeff, I'm concerned. I'm concerned, and I've been noticing this. Obviously, industries that are trying to find an opportunity to recover from this is the travel industry, and they're trying to market to everyone, saying, "Hey, when this thing is over, everyone's going to want to travel again for leisure." I don't believe that.
Well, you know what? It's a great question, Ken. And one of the reasons is, if I go back to when I left Frontier, it was September of '07. I could have told you in August that we were going towards an economic downturn. The booking curves that each one of these airlines were reading at that time, the leisure business, the 6 to 9 month booking curve, was such a great economic indicator. What's happening now, to your point, is I don't think leisure travel is going to rebound that quickly for a couple reasons. But one is, I mean, first I want to comment on, you're seeing a lot of fares out there. You're seeing a lot of $50 round trips on Frontier. You're seeing all kinds of stuff. A lot of people are booking those, including my wife. And but you know, it's like hope is not a strategy, but what people are looking for is, it's so cheap, I'm going to book it, and if it doesn't happen, there's really no risk. So we're getting false indicators within the industry. The other thing that's really important, and believe it or not, was seasonality. The industry post 9/11 actually rebounded very well. And what happened was, we came out of that, it was very fixed on what happened. Terrorism, lack of security. TSA was formed November of 2001. Security doors were enhanced, bulletproof, some cameras. So there's this immediate feeling of, not calm, but you kind of got through the initial phase of that fear. And what happened was, we were in January, and all of a sudden January is spring break.
I get it, but Jeff, this is different. This is different. We've been sequestered.
Oh, no, that's my point. We're going to come out, if we come out in July and August, not only international concerns are going to remain, domestic concern less so, but also when we come out of this, let's say July, August, which I happen to believe, is no one's traveling on leisure in September, October, November.
No, but they want the jobs. They want to get paid again. They want to get back to work.
And I go back to Spirit and Frontier. These guys are going to be significantly more impacted than maybe some of the others.
So if I had $1,000 and I wanted to buy a few shares of something, of those airlines, which one would you buy?
In this order.
Oh, there we go. You know what? I'd buy Southwest just because of their stock symbol.
Well, I like it, and yeah, when I see LUV as their stock symbol, I immediately think of KEN. So there you go. Southwest, just recently, I watched their employee video from Gary yesterday. They have $10 billion in unencumbered assets. They had $6 billion in cash. They took out a debt facility yesterday for $2.8 billion. They will likely take some of the grant money, but this is my order. If I were to go backwards, here's why. When I look at what's it going to take in this industry, it's leadership, been there, done that. Mm-hmm. The airline industry, as we currently see in this country, has some of the strongest leaders that I've ever seen. They've been there, done that. They've gone through 9/11. I have to admit, with a lot of what's happened over the last few years with 90% load factors, the communication that I've seen internally and externally from all the airlines, with few exceptions, has been fantastic.
Say,
Strong.
Jeff, I'm running out of time. I just want to make sure cash is king. Cash reserves are, Southwest has cash reserves. Without a
Yeah,
doubt, loyalty, people love, they love Alaska, they love Southwest, and people love JetBlue.
exactly. There's the loyalty survey. They love it. Alaska's got a great brand,
Yeah,
all West Coast presence, but they're fantastically run. They have great relationships around the world through their frequent flyer
yeah,
program.
that's it.
Uh, Again,
Jeff,
this is my fill-in for loyalty in the business sector. So,
that's when you left. Hey, Jeff, before we go real quick, people want to find out more of what you're working on. Where do they go?
um, you know how to reach me via email. I'd love to talk to people, but they can go to www.manifestescapes.com.
All right, well, let's have you on when you're ready to launch that.
Oh, love to do it.
All right.
All
Jeff
right.
Potter, thanks a lot for joining us. Let me have my screen back,
Uh,
and
stop,
I appreciate
stop.
you hanging out with us.